To talk more about Yoon's visit, as well as the prospects of the relationship between Seoul and London, I'm delighted to say that we have two British politicians joining us today. First up, we have Lord David Alton of Liverpool, who is the founder and co-chairman of the British DPRK All-Party Parliamentary Group and a follower of Korean Peninsula affairs. He joins us on the line now. Lord Alton, hello, and thank you for your time today.
Hello, it's a great pleasure to be with you.
I believe you were present at President Yoon's speech. What did you make of it? What stood out to you?
I was honoured to be asked to be one of the welcoming committee, so 4 parliamentarians, 2 members of the House of Commons and 2 members of the House of Lords, met and greeted the President and the First Lady when they arrived here at Westminster yesterday, and then also to have an opportunity after hearing his speech to talk to him and also to Foreign Minister Jim Park as well about the many issues that unite our two nations. This was a historic occasion, not least because, of course, it's the first state visit since King Charles ascended the throne, and it was, I think, a way of establishing and deepening, as the President himself said, what is already a flourishing and long-standing relationship. But I thought myself that the speech was extremely well judged, very well delivered, that he and the First Lady won hearts and minds. I thought he had an impressive and great command of our language and our history and story, complete with quotations from Winston Churchill and from Shakespeare. And he, I thought, captured hearts as well by the references to our Korean veterans. After all, 1,000 British servicemen died during the Korean War, which we're commemorating at this time. And one of them, one of the veterans from that period, Colin Thackeray, was present yesterday, and it was lovely to hear the specific reference that President Yoon made to Colin.
Yes, and Yoon's state visit comes as the two countries are celebrating 140 years of diplomatic ties. Now, Korea 24 airs worldwide for listeners who may or may not be familiar with South Korea-UK relations. It is a topic which we would assume that not many of our listeners are used to hearing about. Can you tell us a bit more about the relationship between South Korea and Britain and why it's been so significant?
It doesn't take long to have discussions with serious-minded people in the Republic of Korea to know how much they owe as a debt to the free nations of the world and their willingness to sacrifice in blood and treasure a stand with them, which would have otherwise led to them being governed in the way that the Koreans of North Korea are governed by a communist dictatorship. So the freedoms that were won as a consequence of the deaths of so many, millions of Koreans, of course, 38,000 Americans and 1,000 British servicemen, that the United Nations stood with the people of South Korea so that they could determine their own future. That was hugely important and symbolic. It's often called, as it's been referred to during the visit, the forgotten war, but it shouldn't be forgotten, and certainly not by the United Kingdom. More people died on the Korean Peninsula in the service of king and country than, for instance, died in Afghanistan, the Falklands and Iraq combined. So that, I would say, underpins our relationship, but it goes way beyond that. I mean, during the decades that have followed, we have broadened our relationships into joint enterprises in commerce, in industry, in education as well. I mean, there are always a tranche of Korean scholars who are in the United Kingdom in our universities, and it's been a two-way street. I think there's a great love between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Korea. And this visit undoubtedly, therefore, does a lot to entrench that. But this is also a time of acute danger. You only have to think about the axis of dictators in the world versus the axis of democracy. You think of the relationship between Kim Jong-un and Putin, or with Xi Jinping, or for that matter, even with Khamenei, the theocratic leader of Iran. And you can see what I mean by an axis of dictators. So we remember our past struggles, but we also remember the present ones. And it's important that we should build our defense relationships and alliances to try and prevent further wars and conflicts from taking place in the future. So I think that the building on this relationship, the President will be meeting Prime Minister Rishi Sunak later today. I think that will be an opportunity for us to create a new agreement about our future relationships, whether they are cultural, educational, diplomatic, or for that matter, defence.
Lord Alton, I know you've personally been very involved in addressing North Korea's human rights abuses. You've been to North Korea yourself on several occasions, I understand. What role has the UK played in trying to address this issue, and how important is the UK's relationship with South Korea when it comes to addressing this?
Well, it was the first of the elected presidents in South Korea, which after all was a military dictatorship. We forget even in our own lifetimes the extraordinary changes that have taken place. But it was Kim Dae-jung who invited our then Prime Minister, Tony Blair, to go to Seoul and to make a very important statement about moving on even from the armistice that we and the United States and the Republic of Korea have with North Korea. We decided, the United Kingdom decided, but with the encouragement of the Republic of Korea, to create diplomatic relations. So we have diplomats in Pyongyang, normally anyway. Since the pandemic, of course, our current ambassador, David Ellis, has been unable to take up his post, but we understand that it's likely in the new year that, with the borders now reopening, that the British diplomatic presence in the DPRK will be resumed. And I think it's a very good thing. I mean, Churchill himself, after all, said, our great wartime leader said, we need more jaw and less war. So I think talking never costs us anything. It also can make significant gains. However, we shouldn't be under any illusions about the nature of the North Korean regime. It trades in weapons of mass destruction. It has been supporting Putin in the war in Ukraine. We're told 1,000 containers full of armament and weapons was shipped to the front lines there. I mean, this is appalling, and the destabilizing of the whole of the region as a result of the decision to defy the United Nations Security Council resolutions. All of that has to be in our minds, but so do human rights violations. It is 10 years ago this year, and I was in Seoul a few weeks ago at the conference which the Union administration had organized to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Commission of Inquiry report, which found crimes against humanity in North Korea and said it was a state without parallel. Well, the Republic of Korea is about to become a member of the Security Council. I had the opportunity yesterday to speak directly to President Yoon about the importance of using that opportunity on the Security Council to return to the Commission of Inquiry recommendations and to raise this appalling, egregious violations of human rights at every opportunity. And I also pressed him to raise with the People's Republic of China the repatriation of North Korean citizens to North Korea. And I received a very positive response from the President. I handed him a formal letter in Korean from the All-Party Parliamentary Group on North Korea, which, as you say, I founded and co-chair.
Right. It's a very important issue indeed, and hopefully together more can be done. And finally, very briefly, what do you think the future of South Korea-UK ties looks like? Seoul and London, they announced that the two sides will sign the Downing Street Accord, which will upgrade the current broad and creative partnership to a global strategic partnership. What do you hope for in the future?
Well, amongst other things, I know that our Prime Minister, for instance, who recently convened the first international summit on artificial intelligence, AI, I know that that will be one of the issues that he and President Yoon will want to talk about, but also cyber developments and ways in which the United Kingdom should make itself a lot less dependent on the People's Republic of China. It's extraordinary that we have a trade deficit of over £40 billion with the People's Republic of China. It's completely unnecessary. It is undesirable. It creates dependency. We need greater resilience. And who better as a major trading partner than the Republic of Korea? So I hope that we will see our friends in the East through various other lenses than the commercial ones that some people make so much of. I hope we'll see our friends in East Asia through the lens of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And the President himself yesterday said he believes in a free and open international order. So do I, so do the United Kingdom government, so do the people of this country, and what better allies could we have?
Lord Alton, we'll leave it there. We've been speaking to Lord David Alton of Liverpool. Thank you once again for your time today.
It's a pleasure.